Hey y'all, hey. I wanted to get on the Ashanti and Nelly bandwagon. No, I'm just kidding. I want to discuss their relationship timeline in the astrological terms, or world or view. And I've, found some very interesting things. There are some steps that I typically go through and like to look at when I'm looking at synastry and the start of a relationship, the end of a relationship, and then major things happening, such as babies and potential marriage. So I wanted to quickly go over some things that I noticed in their chart, give you all some insight into how I may talk about timing in relationships. So I wanted to use them as an example. So let's get into it. So Ashanti and Nelly got together, as we know, back in 2003, or we suspect that they got together in 2003, and was together maybe 10 years and broke up in 2013. And voila, 10 years later, here we are. So I am going to first go over some synastry stuff, and I will go into transits and progressions and solar returns, and just go through all of that. Now, I only have her birth time. So I don't have Nelly, so I cannot do this with his chart, but I will do it with hers, and I'll show you guys how that matches up. The first things I look at in people's charts are the Venus and Moon signs, because your Venus sign is what you like, what you desire, is what you want, and your Moon sign is what you need. And so, looking at those two signs, for one, seeing if they are compatible in your individual chart, seeing, like, if what you want is incompatible, or is compatible with what you need, or is it incompatible, and that shows just kind of difficulty in the relationship. But also looking at the charts between the two people, if their moon and Venus signs are compatible in and of itself. So let's look at it. So I'm going to turn my, I gotta find my pointer. I think this is my pointer. Nope, that's not my pointer. Laser, here we go. So both of these people, so Ashanti's chart is inside and Nelly's is on the outside. And so her moon is here in Sag and Nelly's is in Gemini. So they're opposites. They do say opposites do attract. So that there you have it there. Their Venus signs, which hers is in Virgo and his is in Scorpio, they sextile each other. So they are compatible. Now, one thing to notice with Ashanti is that her moon and her Venus does square each other. So there is some compatibility in the sense that they're both in mutable signs, immutable in like the elements. But there is a challenge, what she wants, that Virgo kind of quality partner who is, more precise, more together, is analytical. Um, it's a earth kind of vibe. And what she needs is this moon sign there, which is more free and fun, and it's about expansion and travel and all of that. That's just very different than the Virgo energy. So that is something to be aware of. What makes this moon extremely important in Ashanti's chart is that it is her descendant ruler. So I will say this, for this particular video, you will need to understand astrology, probably intermediate, because I'm not going to go over a lot of basics, so you will have to try to follow and keep up. But her moon sign is, or her moon is the ruler of her seventh house of partnership. So this is going to tell what type of partners she wants, how easy it will be to get relationships and that type of stuff. So the moon is really, really, really important in her chart. I mean, in Venus is important in all people's charts for relationships. So these two, they are speaking to each other. Her moon sign is aspecting her, it's widely aspecting it. I'm not sure if I would consider that 9 degrees aspecting Saturn, which is a ruler of her first house or ascendant. That's a wide orb for a sextile. Um, so I don't know if I would say that that is really easy. So I think there's been some challenges with Ashanti in the relationship department. Not saying that she's had a shortage of people wanting to be in a relationship with her, but just finding what she wants and just understanding too that, what you want and what you need are slightly at odds, but it can work. Um, it can work if you are aware of this dynamic. Okay, so let me keep it moving. Um, let's see. Her moon does aspect his north node, and I always look for nodal or Saturn contacts in synastry. So that's important there. And her Venus squares his nodes. So we have the moon and the Venus contacting his nodes. They both have Sun Mercury connections. So his Sun is widely conjunct her Mercury, and his Mercury is conjunct her Sun. So that makes, I mean, you can communicate and talk to each other and just have a lot of dialogue. That is absolutely great. His Jupiter is opposite her Venus. So that's a nice aspect there. He will encourage her, he will hype her up, he will do all of that. Um, and it's obviously a square her moon as well. So it is aspecting that relationship um, pattern. So let's go to 2003 when they first got together. Um, Now, I will say this. I use several charts when I'm doing readings or looking at people's charts. So I use the Placidus system, I will use the whole house system, and I also use the Hindu system. So I do look at various charts to look at certain things. So you'll see that throughout these different charts. Um, Now, the 2003 chart, if I had this in a whole house system, Saturn here at 29, Gemini will be coming up to her whole house, seventh house. Okay. Um, I'm gonna be honest, I suspected that maybe they connected in 2002, but I want to say that it said the Grammys award that they met at, I think that was in 2003. So I wasn't 100% sure because there's a lot of ambiguity around when they actually met or got together. And in this chart, I didn't really see a whole lot of action. Now, the year before in 2002, I did see a lot of action. And this is just a transit chart that I'm looking at. This is just a transit chart. So I usually look at outer planets and what's going on. So, just looking at Saturn and looking at Jupiter, looking at to see what's going on with Pluto. Is there anything going on with Uranus? So again, I didn't see anything in this chart, so I just kind of wanted to go through that. So I suspected that maybe their first interaction or whatever may have happened in 2002, but I'm not 100% sure. And then if they met in 2003, did something happen more in 2004? So just because they met in 2003 doesn't mean that they actually got together and started a relationship. Maybe they started it in um, in 2004. And again, we will see or can see that Saturn is going into or may cross her descendant the end of 2003 into 2004. So it's very likely. As far as the breakup in 2013, one thing I will note, and I'm not going to break this down a lot because I do not want this to be a super, super long video. Um, but Pluto is going over her ascendant. Major shifts happening in her life. Major, major, major shifts. So that definitely was the catalyst of something shifting for her and happening. So that was a huge deal. Um, and I didn't pull up Nelly's chart. I didn't because again this will take forever. But Saturn was going probably was going to go over. I'm not sure if it was going over his sun. It depends on how far back Saturn or how did Saturn go past 9, 10 degrees and then come back. So there was some things happening for both of them, but I wanted to point out this Pluto. Okay, so let's fast forward to now. I want to get into the now, because all the juiciness is happening now. Okay, so we got that they seen each other, or this the infamous, walking across the stage, giving her a hug happened in 2021, officially dating in 2023. But again, there's a lot of ambiguity around when did they actually connect after the 2021 hug, and when did they officially start dating and talking seriously? We don't know that, unfortunately. So let's see what was happening. I'm going to start with the progression. Progressions are big, they're huge. And looking at timing, because I didn't see any major transits happening in 2021. So now, and so that gives you a clue. Doesn't mean that you don't have to always see transits occurring for something significant to happen. There's a lot of different timing techniques, so it's important to kind of look at all of them and cross them. But in this progression, I did notice something, and so I wanted to point that out. Now, there was an eclipse in December of 2021 that could indicate something significant coming for her love life. Something very, very personal. It was a new beginning. It was a solar eclipse. So that may have indicated that in 2022, something significant was going to be on the horizon. Now, on this chart, the progress chart, I just want to point out this one thing. Venus. Venus was at 29 degrees Libra. Again, indicating a major shift happening. This is at a critical degree in a cardinal sign. So, significant shift definitely occurring. It's definitely happening. So, no surprise that something new was happening in her love life. So let's fast forward to 2023. And I'm going to go over the transits here. So I want to show you two charts. So remember I mentioned the whole house system and the Placidus system. I like to use both. I know some astrologers just usually use one or the other, but I get some really, really good information or some confirmation validation from both charts if I use them. In this particular one, I wanted to show you that Jupiter, now this is the Placidus system. Okay, so Jupiter is right here on the fourth house cusp. It is crossing the IC. See here, her IC is at 4 Taurus, and Jupiter is there, of home and family. This is a very, very personal point. There was also an eclipse at this point in October. So, again, significant changes happening on the home and family front. Significant. Significant. Can I say that again? And not significant. Okay. Now, this is the whole house system. And in the whole house system, you have Aries on the fourth house cusp, whereas in the Placidus system, you had Taurus. So this one, you have Mars on the fourth house cusp here, and Saturn here is squaring her Mars. So it's activating when, a transit is activating a planet, you look at what houses does it rule. What houses does it rule? And again, it is squaring the fourth house ruler. Jupiter in this chart is in the fifth house. Now, when I have clients, not if, because I do have clients, I have a lot of them. When Jupiter is going through the fourth, fifth, even the sixth house, I'm like, hey, you want to have a baby? Are you trying to have a baby? This might be a good time to have a baby. Um, it doesn't fail. Those are times you definitely want to be mindful of Jupiter going through those houses because it definitely can happen. So if that's not what you want, you better be careful. So I bring it up because the speculation that she is pregnant. I have not heard her say that she's pregnant. Maybe there is something out or confirmation. I'm not sure. I haven't seen that yet, so I can't say. But I would not be surprised with these factors happening. Her progress chart as of December of 2023. I want to look at the moon. When you are looking at fertility stuff, the moon is very, very important in a chart. And her moon is in Cancer, which is in its rulership. So it's in a very fertile position to have a child. So I would suspect that if she is trying to have a child, that now will be a good time because once the moon moves to Leo, it may not be the most fruitful time to have a child, to try to get pregnant. Not saying it can't happen, but this is a very, very good time. And the moon is not dark yet. So that's a good sign that, pregnancy may be successful if you attempt to do it now. So let's go back. Okay, so I'm doing this in reverse. Let's look at her chart for pregnancy or for baby making. So her fifth house is Taurus, so the ruler is Venus. Venus is here in Virgo. Venus is not in a great sign in Virgo. It's not in a great sign. So that lets me know that she will need some help with having a baby. Sorry about that. Then you look to the moon. But let's go back. So this is in Taurus, the fifth house, Taurus. Not a horrible, not a horrible sign. It's not a sign that says like, oh goodness, you couldn't get pregnant. But it's water signs are really really good for this house. But so you have the element here, and then you have the ruler of that house, and that is also in um, Virgo again, which is not the greatest sign for pregnancy, but it doesn't mean you can't get pregnant. It just lets me know there may be some challenges. Then we go to the moon. The moon is in the 12th house. Um, the sign isn't, it's not good or bad. It's just okay. It's not very helpful with her situation. So again, there may be some issues with getting pregnant. There may be some issues behind. There could be a delay in having a baby. She will need some assistance. I don't think she will have a lot of kids. I don't think she'll have a lot of kids. Um, I mean, I'm not going to say clearly. Um, she's older. She's 43. People are having babies older, but I don't see her having, 3 and 4 children. So I do believe there will be a limited amount of children if she has any children. And obviously, it will be late. And so we do know that. So some intervention probably will be needed. Um, and when I say intervention, yes, that could be IVF, that could be getting the IUI, that could be other type of assistance to get pregnant. Just really having to track. It just may not be easy to get pregnant, or she may have to have a C-section, or there may be some things with the delivery. So there may be some stuff happening in order to bring the baby into the world. So when I use perfections, she is in her 43rd year. Okay, her 43rd year. And that is going to be the eighth house. So it's highlighting the sun. The sun is here in Libra. Not a whole lot there. I'm like, okay, it's, highlighting the eighth house. That's, sun is in the 10th. I mean, that is highlighting her reputation. Something is changing about her how she is out in the world, who she is in the world now. So maybe something there, but let me try to perfect it a different way to see if I get more information. So she is a daytime chart. So the sect of the chart, it will be the sun. So let me perfect from the sun. So um, let's see. When I perfect it from the sun, then her fifth house becomes a focus. So it is going to be, um, I'm not going to get into perfections. That's why I said you got to have some understanding. But if I count from her sun, like her sun being the first house, then the 43rd house, the 43rd year would be the fifth house. So that gives me some indication that children are coming into focus right now. So with all those factors, I do believe she may be pregnant or maybe trying to get pregnant. Um, Probably within this next 6 months to a year, she'll probably be trying to have a child. This is a fruitful time for her to have a child. Um, so let's talk about marriage really quick. Um, I think 2025, 26, maybe a good time to get married as well. There will be an eclipse that hits her moon and Venus, and it will hit his moon as well in 2025. Jupiter will go through her seventh house of marriage and relationships. Saturn will be opposite her, Saturn, which is the ruler of her first house, and her progressed Venus will conjunct her natal midheaven in 2025, I believe, or it will be within a year of approaching exact conjunction. So those are reasons that I do believe that something could be shifting. It could be a potential time for her to get married during that time. So we will definitely have to watch and see what happens. I'm sure the world will let us know. The internet will let us know what is going on, what's going down with these two. I really hope that this time around it's a go. It's good. I think they do have a good connection. I can see why they came back to each other with those nodal contacts. There's some other things in their chart that I didn't go over that's there too. So we'll see how their love blossoms. But if she is pregnant, congratulations to her, and Nelly. And I wish them both the best. And we will be watching, and I will maybe do an update video later. Until next time, thank you all. Love and light to everybody.